Friends, I am Dr. S. Krishnakant from SRR and CVR Government Junior College, Vijayawada. As a part of video classes, in previous class we discussed about the chapter Unit 8, that is Ecology and Environment. In this chapter, we are now today dealing with another chapter, that is 8.2, that is the ecosystem and its elementary aspects. Before going into the details of this chapter, let us recap what we have discussed about the ecosystem in the last class. Ecosystem consists of both the structural and the functional components. And it is actually the functional unit of the biosphere. Let us see the structural components. What are the structural components? And the functional components. In structural components, we have both the abiotic factors and biotic factors. Abiotic factors are also known as the physico-chemical factors. This is very important word, remember, physico-chemical factors. So the abiotic factors can further be divided into the physical factors and the chemical factors. Physical factors are, like example, the light, temperature, water, pressure, and the soil. In chemical factors, these are like the chemicals are minerals like carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, magnesium, calcium, etc. And the biotic factors can be further divided into three types. One is the producers, that is the green plants. And the consumers, which depend on the producers. And next one is the decomposers. So these are the physical and these are the chemical factors of the abiotic factors. And in the coming classes, we will discuss about these physical factors like the light, temperature, water, pressure, and the soil. And if you see the functional components can be divided into two types. One is called the flow of energy and the next one is biogeochemical cycles. Flow of energy means the energy that is derived from the sunlight enters into the green plants or the producers as they can perform the photosynthesis, and the energy will again move to the consumers which depend on the producers, and ultimately the dead plants and animals will be decomposed by the decomposers like bacteria and fungi, and again there is a flow of energy from the consumers to the decomposers. So that is what is the functional aspect of the flow of energy. So next one is the biogeochemical cycles, and these minerals like nitrogen, carbon, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, all these will move from the environment to the animals or the plants, and again with the death of these plants and animals by the decomposition, they again enter into the environment. So this is how these chemicals will move from the biological organisms to the environment, and this cyclical process is known as the biogeochemical cycles. And in the last class we discussed about a very important word that is called the niche. Niche refers to the functional role of organism in the ecosystem. So this niche is also can be termed as the profession of organism. If you see the functional role of green plants in any ecosystem, and these are the producers. So the niche occupied by the green plants can be termed as the producers, and it can be also termed as its profession. So that is about this important word niche is all about. So this is all about the ecosystem and its structural and functional components. Now we will take up the each and every physical component of the abiotic factors, that is the light, and in coming classes we will discuss about the temperature, water, pressure and soil, and how these abiotic factors will influence the organisms, and that will be our next topic. So influence of the light on the organisms. So we are now dealing with the influence of light on the organisms, and we know the sunlight is the important source of energy, and with this sunlight the plants are able to prepare food by the process known as photosynthesis. And this is the first and foremost importance of the light. And second thing is that the light intensity and duration also influences the organisms. For example, in some areas the plants are able to photosynthesize, are able to complete the photosynthesis even in the low intensity of light. For example, in forests where there is a thick vegetation, small herbs and plants have very little light, so they are adapted to perform this photosynthesis in a very low light. And there is a seasonal variation of the intensity and the duration of the light also. And photoperiod refers to the duration of light available. Duration of light available. For example, if you see in 24 hours availability of light is restricted to a particular time only. That means the duration of light that is available during a day is known as the photo period. For example, and it varies with the seasons. For example, in summer, the photo period, that is the availability of the light, is high. And at the same time, if you take the winter, the photo period will be low. And certain plants are able to complete their photosynthesis even in the low photo period. That means even small amount of light is available, or the small duration of light is available, they can complete the photosynthesis. And this photo period varies with the seasons. And this light is also helpful for the collection of food and migration. And the UV light that is in the light spectrum is harmful for the organisms. And in case of ocean depths, no light is available. So these are some preliminary aspects of the light. Let us see the impact of the light on the organisms. So the first effect of the light is the pigmentation. Pigmentation refers to the darkening of the skin color, and it is of our common experience that those parts of the body which are exposed to the light are dark in color, and those are less exposed will be pale or light in color. And pigmentation is the darkening of skin color. Certain animals which live in caves will have light or the pale skin color, but when these are exposed to the light, the skin shows some kind of pigmentation. For example, Proteus anguinus is an amphibian, and it lives in the caves. And when it is exposed to the light, it shows the pigmentation. And the second impact is the movement. The impact will be on the direction and the rate of movement. And let us see how the light influences the movement of the animals as well as the direction of the movement. For example, in case of photoresponse. Photoresponse means the response shown by the animals or the plants to the light is known as photoresponse. And this photoresponse can be discussed in two types. One in motile organisms, that means organisms which are able to move. In case of motile organisms, the first one is the phototaxis. Phototaxis means the orientation of animals towards or away from the light. That means when these animals are exposed to light, they either move towards the light or they move away from the light. So this can be termed as a positive response or a negative response. Positive response you can see in case of euglena. In euglena, when it is exposed to the light, it moves towards the light source. That means it moves and shows the positive photoresponse, and which is known as phototaxis. And in case of cockroach, if we expose the cockroach towards the light, it runs away or it moves away from the source of light, and which is known as the negative response. So cockroach shows the negative response. In phototaxis, it is the direction that is important. So that is a directional orientation or directional movement of animals towards or away from the source of light is known as phototaxis. And next one is photokinesis. The second effect is known as the photokinesis. Photokinesis refers to the non-directional movement. Here the direction is not important, but the rate of the movement. That is, the velocity is increased according to the light intensity. That means if light is if the organism is exposed to the light, the rate of the movement or the velocity of the movement will increase or decrease. In case of Prototherus maculatus, in case of the Prototherus maculatus, it is a larva. The larva of this Prototherus maculatus, which is also known as the mussel crab, when this larva is exposed to the light, the velocity of this larva increases. So here the movement is non-directional. It may move either of the direction, but only thing is that it increases the rate of the velocity or the movement according to the source of the light. So here it's a impact will be on the movement or the rate of the movement or on the velocity. Example is Prototherus maculatus. And another influence is called as phototropism. And phototropism is shown by non-motile organisms. That means organisms which cannot move. Example, some kind of plants will show or part of the plant body. So here the phototropism refers to the either movement of the plant or the part of the plant body towards light. For example, in case of plants, if the plant is exposed to the sunlight, so this is a sun. When this plant is subjected to the sunlight or exposed to sunlight, instead of growing straight, it moves towards the source of the light, and this growth related bending movements shown by the plants is an example of the phototropism, and phototropism is shown by the non-motile organisms like plants or a part of its plant body towards the light. And example is the growth related bending movements shown by the plants. So here we discussed about the impact of the light on the movements of the animals and the plants. One is called the phototaxis, another one is the photokinesis, where the influence is on the movement or the rate of the movement, and where another one is called the phototropism, which is shown by the non-motile organisms like plants. So third influence is on the vision of the animals. You know, light is very essential for the animals, for collection of food, for defense, for reproduction. They have to select the mate, and also in case of migration. So all these are influenced by the light. So vision will be influenced by the light, and some animals are active during the daytime, and those animals are called diurnal animals. Diurnal animals means those are active during the day. Example, in general, the birds, the reptiles and the mammals all are active during the daytime. All such animals which are active during the daytime are known as the diurnal animals. Next one is nocturnal animals. Nocturnal animals means these are active during night time. For example, the decomposers like earthworm is a nocturnal animal. Not only the vision, but also the behavior is also influenced by the behavior of the animals is also influenced by the light. And next we will discuss about the impact of the light on the metabolism is also influenced by the light. If the intensity of the light is low, the metabolic rates of the animals will also slow. So intensity of light directly influences the metabolism or the metabolic rates. If the intensity of the light is high, automatically the metabolic rates in these animals or the metabolism will increase. And fifth one is the biological rhythms. Biological rhythms are also influenced by this light, and a rhythm means a change that is repeated at a similar pattern. A rhythm means a change that is repeated at a similar pattern. If these rhythms occur in the organisms, those are called biological rhythms. So biological rhythms, example is sleep and wake. So we sleep and awake at a particular time when our biological rhythms are set. And the migration of birds is a very good example of biological rhythm which you can observe in a routine manner. So always the birds all the way from Siberia to the Kolleru Lake will come at a regular intervals, either in a annual basis. So the biological rhythms and even the menstrual cycles in women can also be termed as an example for the biological rhythms. And biological rhythms that occurs at a regular intervals of a day are called circadian rhythms. Circadian, circa means approximately, circadian means approximately at a regular interval of 24 hours. For every 24 hours, this pattern, this rhythm will again repeat. So all such rhythms, all such activities which repeat at a regular interval of 24 hours approximately are known as the circadian rhythms. And some are repeated in an annual basis, like migration of birds, and those are called circannular rhythms. Circannular rhythms means they are repeated at a year basis, 1 year. And all these biological rhythms are controlled by the biological clocks or the biological clock that is in the organism. And light influences this biological clocks. That means the biological clock setting will be influenced by this light. So this is the impact of the light on the biological rhythms. I repeat once again, rhythm means a change that is repeated at a regular interval or in a similar pattern. And if these rhythms occur in the organisms, living organisms, these are called the biological rhythms. And we can say the sleep and wake, the migration of birds, the menstrual cycle in women, all are a kind of biological rhythms. If these rhythms repeated at an approximate time of 24 hours, this is known as the circadian rhythm. Circa means approximately, a day means a day, circa a day, circadian rhythms. And circannular means these are repeated at an approximate time of 1 year. And biological rhythms are controlled by the biological clocks, and this light influences the biological clock in setting these. Light helps or light influences these biological clock settings, and thus the biological rhythm is influenced by the light. So next one is the photo period. Photo period refers to the duration of light or length of the light. So duration of light or the length of light that is available in a day is known as photo period. I have already said in summer the photo period will be high, and in winter the photo period will be less. And the response shown by the organisms to the photo period is known as photoperiodism. And photoperiodism influences or it regulates various important aspects of reproduction and the migration. We know the birds from Siberia will come to the Indian lakes during winter. How they know they have to migrate from the Siberia to the Indian lakes? It is because the photo period in case of winter in the Siberia will be less, and this acts as a cue or a signal for them to migrate to the Indian regions. So photoperiodism also influences the reproduction and the migration, and the Siberian birds will lay eggs and they will again go back to the Siberia when the conditions are favorable. So in winter the Siberian conditions will be very harsh, and they will come to the Indian region and they lay eggs and they will go back to their original ground. So this is a migration, can be termed as a movement from feeding ground to breeding ground. So this is the influence of photo period. And critical photo period, and the term is known as the critical photo period. Critical photo period means a specific length of time that influences the changes in the behavior of the organisms is known as the critical photo period. And critical photo period is different for different organisms, and based on this critical photo period, different birds migrate at different periods. So this is all about the photoperiodism and the photo period. So the next influence of light is called the bioluminescence. Bioluminescence is the production of light by living organisms. And this is also known as cold light. This light that is produced by these living organisms is also known as cold light, because it doesn't have infrared rays. So since there is no infrared rays, it is also known as the cold light. Generally, certain fishes, jellyfishes and fireflies, and also the fishes in the deep ocean will release the light. So light that is released by these living organisms is known as the bioluminescence. And what is the importance of this bioluminescence? You know, in the deep sea, so there is no light, or light cannot penetrate into the deep oceans. In these regions, this bioluminescence is a type of signal or intraspecific communication. So that the animals can communicate between the same species or within the species, or the members of within the species, and they can also a kind of defense against the predators and it is also a method of finding the mate. So it helps in the sexual interaction or finding the mate, and also it helps in the collection of the food. So it may act as a intraspecific communication, or it useful for the defense, or it may useful for the reproduction as well as the collection of the food. So that is all about the bioluminescence. And the last one is UV rays. So light spectrum also consists of ultraviolet rays, which are having a shorter wavelength or wavelength less than 380 nanometers. You have three types of ultraviolet rays, that is ultraviolet rays A, ultraviolet rays B, and ultraviolet rays C. Ultraviolet rays A, the wavelength is between 320 to 380 nanometers. In case of ultraviolet B, it is between the 280 nanometers to 320 nanometers, and ultraviolet C 100 nanometers to 280 nanometers. So this is the range of the different ultraviolet rays, and having less than 380 nanometers of the wavelength. And ultraviolet rays B and C are very harmful for the organisms. Even though these are harmful, ultraviolet rays are responsible for the formation of vitamin D, and they kill certain microorganisms on the surface of the body of the organisms. So this is all about the effect of the ultraviolet rays. In next class, we will discuss about another abiotic factor, that is temperature. Thank you.